The rain was falling in sheets as I pulled into the driveway, my newborn daughter Lily, sleeping soundly in her car seat. The hospital stay had been longer than expected, but we were finally home. Or so I thought. As I approached the front door, something felt off. The key didn't turn. I jiggled it, thinking maybe the lock was stuck, but no, it had been changed. My heart sank. I knocked, then pounded, but there was no answer. The house was dark, silent. That's when I noticed the boxes. They were piled haphazardly on the porch, soaked from the rain. My belongings, clothes, books, photo albums, thrown out like trash. My hands trembled as I opened the top box, finding a note taped to the inside. "Mia, I'm sorry it had to end this way. You'll understand someday. Don't try to contact me. Take care of Lily." It was signed Ethan. My husband. The man who had held my hand through every contraction, who had cried when he first held Lily in his arms. The man who had promised to love us forever. I sank to the ground, clutching the note, my mind racing. What had happened? Why would he do this? The rain soaked through my clothes, but I barely noticed. Lily stirred in her car seat, her tiny cries snapping me back to reality. I had no choice but to leave. I loaded the boxes into the car, my hands shaking with anger and disbelief. Where would we go? My parents lived across the country and I had no close friends nearby. The hospital had been my safe haven, but now I was adrift. As I drove through the storm, memories flooded my mind. Ethan had been distant the past few weeks, but I'd chalked it up to stress. He'd been working late, avoiding conversations, his phone always face down. I'd been so focused on Lily that I hadn't seen the signs. I pulled into a motel parking lot, the neon sign flickering in the rain. It wasn't much, but it was shelter. As I settled Lily into the creaky motel crib, I made a silent promise to her. No matter what, I would protect her. We would survive this. Days turned into weeks and I began to piece together the truth. Ethan had emptied our bank accounts, leaving me with nothing. He'd filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences. But the final blow came when I discovered the real reason he'd left. He wasn't Lily's father. A DNA test confirmed it. Ethan had known for months, ever since a routine prenatal test had revealed the truth. He'd stayed long enough to see Lily born, then vanished without a word. I was devastated, but I couldn't afford to fall apart. I found a job, a small apartment, and slowly began to rebuild my life. Lily was my reason to keep going, her smile a beacon of hope in the darkness. Months later, I received a letter. It was from Ethan. He apologized, saying he'd been too ashamed to face me, too hurt to stay. He'd left because he couldn't bear the thought of raising another man's child. He asked for forgiveness, but I didn't know if I could give it. As I held Lily in my arms, I realized that forgiveness wasn't for him. It was for me. I didn't need Ethan to be happy. I had everything I needed right here. And so we moved forward one day at a time. The past was behind us and the future was ours to create. Together we were enough.